Hi everyone, welcome to the LTM learning series. This is bonus chapter 2. In this chapter, we will learn how to create a CA signed web server certificate and configure a client SSL profile using that newly created certificate. Alright, let us get started. We required following prerequisites to proceed with this chapter. The first one is a root certificate authority. In our case, it is configured and available to issue certificates for any lab.ae domain host names. The second prerequisite is we should have the access to F5 TMOS graphical user interface. The third prerequisite is LTM module should be provisioned with appropriate license. The fourth prerequisite is the virtual server host name, which required the client SSL profile. In our case, the host name is auth.lab.ae. There are 5 steps to complete this lab. Step 1. Let the user access to F5 graphical user interface to create and download the CSR for the virtual server hostname, which is auth.lab.ae. Step 2. Let the user copy the CSR to the root certificate authority to sign the CSR and obtain the digital certificate. Step 3. Once the certificate authority issued the digital certificate, let the user download and change the certificate format which F5 supports. Step 4. Let the user imports the virtual server certificate bundle into the F5. Step 5. Let the user create a new client SSL profile in F5 using the newly created certificate and its private key. Alright, let us proceed configuring this now. Step 1. Let the user access to F5 graphical user interface to create and download the CSR for the virtual server hostname, which is auth.lab.ae. To create the CSR, go to System, Certificate Management, then click Create New. It opens the wizard to create the CSR. In this, we required a web server certificate for auth.lab.ae virtual server hostname. So name it as auth.cert. Our root CA will issue this web server certificate. So set the issuer as certificate authority. The common name should be auth.lab.ae, which is our virtual server hostname. Set the division as IT. Since this is for lab environment, set the organization as lab.ae. I am located in Abu Dhabi, so set the locality as AUH. I am living in UAE, so set the country as United Arab Emirates. Also enter the email address. Set the subject alternate name as dns:auth.lab.ae. Important point to note here. You can add multiple subject alternate name entries separated by commas. For example, you can set san as dns:auth.lab.ae, dns:portal.lab.ae, dns:star.lab.ae. If you include star.lab.ae, it becomes a wildcard certificate, which will work for any subdomain under lab.ae. In our case, we need only certificate for auth.lab.ae. So we keep one SAN name and click Finished. This will generate the CSR. Next, click to download the CSR. See here it is downloaded. Since you create the CSR in F5, there is a private key created along with the CSR and stored in the F5 itself. Let us verify it. To verify this, let us go to the system, certificate management and see it. Here it is. Important note, do not download the private key unless there is a specific need. Step 2. Let the user copy the CSR to the root certificate authority to sign the CSR and obtain the digital certificate. To sign this, access the URL of root CA and type the credential to login. Once you signed in, request a new certificate. Here, choose Advanced Certificate Request. And then open the downloaded CSR, copy and paste the CSR content into the saved request. and then change the certificate template to web server. Finally, click submit. The successful submit will issue the certificate. Here, download base64 encoded chain. Once you downloaded, let us go to the desktop and create new folder in desktop, name it as cert. And then copy the downloaded certificate from the default download folder to the cert folder. Once you copied, go to the desktop and open the cert folder. Drag to the view and check the file extension. This will display the file extension of the downloaded certificate. Our chain certificate format is .p7b. Also, rename the certificate name as chain cert. Step 3. Change the certificate format which F5 supports. Now we have the certificate chain stored in the cert folder in desktop. However, this format is not suitable for F5. F5 supports certificate bundle in the following order. First, web server certificate, which we call it as virtual server certificate. Then the intermediate certificate. Then the root certificate. Alright, let us go and create the F5 recommended certificate bundle. To create this, we required the web server certificate, then the intermediate certificate, and then the root certificate, correct? We could extract these certificates from our chain cert. To extract this, double click to open the chain cert, then double click to open the store, and then double click to open the certificates. Oops, here we could see only two certificates. The first one is Lab Root CA. This is our root certificate authority. The second one is Web Server Certificate issued by Lab Root CA. This is going to be our virtual server certificate. Then what happened to the intermediate certificate? Since this is for the lab setup, we deployed the root certificate authority to issue the certificate for the lab.ae domain host names. We did not set the intermediate certificate authority. Important point to note here. Intermediate certificate authority is not mandatory in smaller setup. Since we don't have the intermediate certificate authority, we are going to create the F5 recommended certificate bundle using the following order. First, the web server certificate, which is going to be our virtual server certificate, and then the root certificate. To create this, let us go and extract these certificates. First, let us extract auth.lab.ae certificate. To extract this, right-click auth.lab.ae certificate, expand all task and click export. It opens the certificate export wizard. On the certificate export wizard, click next. It takes you to choose the file format option. Here, choose base64 as file format and then click next. Here, browse and locate the cert folder in desktop which we have created earlier. Then type the file name as auth.cert and click save. Then click next and finish the certificate export. You will see the export was successful. The successful export creates auth-cert.cir in the cert folder. Also, let us export lab root CA certificate. To export this, right-click lab root CA certificate, expand all task and click export. It opens the certificate export wizard. On the certificate export wizard, click next. It takes you to choose the file format option. Choose base64 encoded as file format. Then click next. Here, browse and locate the certificate folder which we have created earlier. Then type the file name as lab.root.ca and click save. Then click next and finish the certificate export. You will see the export was successful. The successful export creates lab-root-ca.cir in the cert folder. Now you will see both auth.cert and lab.root.ca in the cert folder. Right click and open both of them in the notepad. To complete the F5 recommended certificate bundle, copy the lab root CA certificate contents and paste it below the web server certificate. Now the order become first the web server certificate and then the root certificate. Save and close the auth.cert.ser notepad. This concludes the F5 recommended certificate bundle creation. Also, lab root CA is our root certificate. We did not make any changes here. So just close this notepad as well. Step 4. Let the user imports the virtual server certificate bundle into the F5. To import the virtual server certificate bundle, go to System, then Certificate Management. Here you will see certificate signing request along with the private key. Choose and click that. Here click Import. It opens the import option. On the certificate source, select Upload File and click Choose File to browse. And then locate and open auth.cert.ser certificate bundle which we have created earlier. Once you see the name, click Import. The successful import display RSA certificate key and certificate signing request. Double click the auth cert and confirm the certificate order as auth.lab.ae, which is our virtual server certificate, and then the lab root CA, which is our root certificate. This concludes the successful import of virtual server certificate bundle. Step 5. Let us create the client SSL profile in F5 for the virtual server auth.lab.ae using the newly created certificate bundle and its private key. To create the client SSL profile, go to the local traffic, then profiles, then SSL, and then client. Here, click create for the new client SSL profile. When it opens, name it as auth client SSL profile. Under the configuration, locate and check the certificate chain. Then click add certificate. Here, locate and choose the certificate as auth.cert. Also, locate and choose the key as auth.cert. Because auth.cert contains RSA certificate and its private key. Important point to note here. The Big IP system now allows chain certificates in the same file as the SSL server certificate. So, no need of configuring the chain certificate. Then click Advanced on Configuration. It expands the options. Here, locate and check the ciphers. And then choose the cipher group and expand the options. In this, choose F5 Secure. Then go to the bottom and click Finished. This completes the client SSL profile creation for the auth.lab.ae virtual server. Later, we will use this client SSL profile when we configure the auth.lab.ae virtual server. This concludes our bonus chapter 2. In this chapter, we successfully created the CA signed web server certificate, which is our virtual server certificate, and then configured the client SSL profile using that newly created certificate. Thank you for watching.